My favorite ballet term is pas de deux, which means a dance for two. In ballet, there's nothing that really happens with just one person. There's a pas de deux between two dancers, between artist and teacher, organization and partners, organization and universities. There's very little we can achieve by ourselves.
Hello, and welcome to the Partnerships podcast series by UIN. In this episode, we dive into the fascinating intersection of academia and the arts. Joining us is Dilshani Weerasinghe, Executive Director of Queensland Ballet, who shares how they collaborate with universities to drive innovation, research, and talent development in the creative industries. From using dance to support health and well-being to interdisciplinary partnerships across science, business, and technology, Dilshani reveals how these collaborations are shaping the future of the arts.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Dilshani Weerasinghe. I'm the Manager Strategic Initiatives at UIN, and it's my pleasure to welcome Dilshani Weerasinghe, Executive Director of Queensland Ballet, as we explore the role of university-industry collaboration in the arts. Queensland Ballet partners with universities to drive research, innovation, and talent development, fostering meaningful connections between academia and the creative industries. It is quite a unique and very important topic. Dilshani, thank you so much for joining me today as we will be exploring this together.
Thank you for having me.
Dilshani, I would just like to say a few words about you before we will start our conversation, because it is indeed a quite unique career trajectory. Dilshani, the Executive Director of Queensland Ballet, oversees the strategic and operational aspects of one of Australia's most successful and vibrant ballet companies. Passionate about the arts and championing non-for-profit organizations, prior to joining Queensland Ballet, Dilshani held senior positions in various arts and charity organizations, including the Royal Opera House in the UK, Sydney Opera House, and Brisbane Powerhouse. Thank you so much again for joining. I am quite excited to learn as much as I can from you today. So let's just start. So with your unique career trajectory that spans from arts, business, and leadership, I'm wondering what actually drew you to the intersection of cultural organizations and perhaps even more general external engagement?
Okay. First, can I say thank you very much for having me? I feel very lucky to be doing what I do every day. I've never really had a plan or a known career path. I've always just put one foot in front of the other, put my hand up for every opportunity and every challenge, and I've not looked too far ahead. I believe that if you have a plan, then you sometimes just stick to that blindly and you might not be able to see the new ideas and thoughts that are coming at you from all angles. Around cultural organizations and external partnerships, can I say my favorite ballet term is pas de deux, which means a dance for two. In ballet, there's nothing that really happens with just one person. There's a pas de deux between two dancers, between onstage and backstage, between artist and teacher, between organization and partners, between organization and universities, between our organization and donors. There's very little we can achieve by ourselves. And I think one of the reasons why I've stayed in the arts for so long is because that unique chemistry you find when you work with others is particularly vibrant in the arts. It sounds very cliche to say it. The arts is very creative. And if you are an out-of-the-box thinker, there are many opportunities for you in this space. It's all about collaboration. And when the chemistry is right between two parties, just like on stage between two dancers, it's absolutely magical. When the chemistry is right, it's not a forced marriage. It's a true marriage. There's a magical energy and momentum. And in business and in life, where you have momentum, that's actually quite rare. And if you can pair momentum with the shared purpose, which is what comes out of the right kind of collaboration, then you can make a lot of magic. In the creative industries, what excites me most is that we seek the energy of others. Even if we are introverts, and I am an introvert, even if we are introverts, we are seeking to enhance our impact through working with others. And I think that's what attracted me to the arts and what has kept my eyes shiny for what I do every day, so that I really don't feel like I've ever worked a day in my life. So if you ask me about my career trajectory, what I can say is that I have chased my shiny eyes. I have chased what makes me happy, and I have put my hand up for every opportunity. And I find myself here. I don't really know who or what I want to be when I grow up, but I know that my peripheral vision, everything is open to all the things that are around me. And in the arts, there's a lot of vibrancy, a lot of opportunity.
That's beautifully said. Thank you so much, Dilshani,
Okay.
for sharing. I also just really love what you said about collaboration and the magic that happens on the stage and backstage. I think this is exactly perhaps how we would look at partnering as well. We often use the metaphor of marriage. So again, very nice to hear that you've been using the same metaphor too. But I would like to actually, explore a little bit deeper and go into that space. And maybe you can tell us a little bit more about how Queensland Ballet is deeply engaged with universities, and perhaps it would be even good to share some examples of collaborations that have led to a meaningful impact in both arts, in ballet particularly, but also for academia itself.
Yeah, sure. We have so many collaborations with universities, and we have done for many years. We partner with universities across areas as diverse as our Dance for Health community programs, our marketing and communications departments, production, technical. We have traineeships for students of production and stage arts, not only because that's a space where we want to develop skills, but also because we're learning from future generations around the sort of technical and other understandings that we need to have to be relevant. Research into our Dance for Health community classes make sure that we are presenting for the community with very strong evidence, backing the benefits of dance for people's health and well-being. We're not just saying that ballet can have health benefits. We're saying the hypothesis is that ballet can have health benefits, and now we need to back that with research and expertise. We're developing our knowledge and understanding across the arts, across public media and communications. We're developing how we write for the arts, because there's a lack of arts journalism at the moment, and how do we help that expertise? There are countless and unexpected ways that we partner. We are currently practicing out in healthcare, in hospitals, in frontline services, and in aged care, but we take a lot of care to say we're not just saying, hey, we want to be in aged care. There's always an invitation to say, we think there's a value in you coming into aged care, and let's work together to see what the benefits might be for those living here.
This is a wonderful example. I'm actually wondering, how do you manage to engage your own artists, your own employees within the powerhouse to then make sure that those collaborations happen? I can imagine, I hope at least, that the partners, welcome you with open arms, but how, that works sort of in practice? I'm very curious to hear.
We do a lot of talking, and we do a lot of active listening. If we're out somewhere and we happen to be even someone new within an existing university relationship, it doesn't take long for us to find an area of alignment that has potential. So then we explore that a little bit, but it's not just me and say maybe one other. We think about who is the subject expert where the chemistry will be right, so that we can put, say, somebody who works with Dance for Parkinson's with somebody who's working at a university in, say, the area of Parkinson's. So we engage our team at the very start, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. It's important to know that you can have a conversation, but you shouldn't force the marriage. There should be a natural chemistry. We shouldn't be trying to make something work. And I think engaging our team and open and transparent communication always, and a shared outcome, is very key to making anything work in a marriage.
On the work that you do around research on health benefits of dance, maybe it would be also good to hear what kind of insights perhaps have emerged, and how do these findings have influenced the work that you do?
I'll give you an example. We're actually working on a very exciting project at the moment with ballet for brain injury classes. So they're held in person at Queensland Ballet. However, we know that people living with brain injuries such as stroke or brain cancer, traumatic brain injuries, can be very geographically dispersed. So in an enormous country like Australia, where there's a lot of regional communities, we need to find innovative ways to try to reach people in regional and remote areas where they can't travel hundreds of kilometers to do a class here. So we're about to start a research project with a major Queensland university to investigate whether ballet for brain injury could be effectively and safely run as an online offering, so that we can reach people and their carers and families all over Queensland and potentially further. This type of concept could not happen without a major university partner and a research partner for us to collaborate with, so that we're making sure that we're measuring the longitudinal impacts, and we're not just saying ballet can change lives, we're actually proving through research that it can. And importantly, research also keeps us true to our purpose and constantly helps us to improve our endeavor. That's an example of a new project that we're working on.
Do you want to be a part of a global community where universities, businesses, and public organizations come together to solve the world's biggest challenges? At UIIN, we equip our members with the skills, tools, and strategies they need to create impactful partnerships that drive real-world change. Whether it's upskilling your team, strengthening your institution's partnership efforts, or becoming more entrepreneurial, UIIN empowers you with the knowledge and support you need. Join us today. Visit uiin.org to find the best plan for your organization.
We'll keep our eyes out for the results of this endeavor. I hear a lot of presence of different kinds of disciplines in that, marriage that you're talking about. So
Yes.
I hear that there is a lot of interdisciplinarity. So I'm wondering that when beyond traditional performing arts, perhaps in education, how do you see the role of that interdisciplinary collaboration? For example, in your case, that would be dance, but then we're also talking about science, technology, perhaps even business. So what role does interdisciplinarity play in this bigger interplay of different disciplines?
I'm a mother of 3, and actually I'm someone who's very passionate about young people. I do a lot of mentoring with young people from various backgrounds, including disadvantage. And I believe if the future is not bright for our young people, then it's not bright for any of us. As a mother of 3, I've taken the view that, and not always supported by my husband, by the way, that I need to lean into what our kids and our young people are interested in so that I'm learning how to relate to their reality, their stimuli. And I'm coming to the question, when you do lean into the future, which is what the young person is facing, you can see that there are a lot of opportunities for interdisciplinary collaboration. Yes, between dance and science, between dance and technology, but you can also see that for us to be relevant, we absolutely need to explore the gray area between the traditional and the future. So for example, with dance, there's a piece there around how does the human brain process dance? And why that's interesting is when you use technology to consider dance, you're actually now entering the world of the future where the young person is naturally through social media, through AI, through all of those. I say young person because I'm not necessarily meaning young person, I'm meaning the forward thinkers who are thinking about the future collaborative opportunities. But when you do that and you devour the reels on social media, you enter into a space where you're exploring what could a set look like if you were to work with AI? What could music look like or sound like if you were working with a set algorithm that perhaps is enhanced through technology? There are many opportunities when you look at it that way. In business, as the dance sector improves and the business of ballet becomes more complex, there are many opportunities for us to consider what are the innovations in not only in how we look after our people, but also how we look after our sales, in marketing and in recruitment. So we partner not just with universities, but we partner with experts in design thinking, in accounting, in legal, in how do we recruit elegantly, in facilities management, in software, because if we're not innovating all the time, then we risk not being relevant. And if we risk not being relevant, then actually an art form like ballet could actually diminish its impact just because we get too comfortable in who we are.
I really like how you embrace the spirit of innovation and collaboration pretty much across all of the activities that you do. It's not just the performing arts, it's just also some of the operations that help you run what you run. So it's very humbling to hear. And you also spoke about the developing future talent, the future thinkers. I think for me, it would be a nice segue to maybe dig a little bit deeper into the topic of actually developing future talent. So I'm wondering, also you spoke about the recruitment. So what skills and attributes would you look for in graduates who want to work in the arts sector? Because I think it's also quite an interesting topic today with all of the trends happening pretty much at the same time.
Look, this is a personal passion topic for me. I'm a little unusual in how I recruit. I'm always looking for the right mindset. Yes, of course, it depends on the role. If you're looking for somebody in human resources, you want to make sure that you're recruiting somebody who is qualified and experienced for what you know is coming. The arts is not for the faint-hearted. We ask a lot of ourselves and our teams. We're often underfunded and maybe sometimes not able to pay market rate for certain talents. So I'm always looking for someone who is not afraid of what I call the hustle of thinking outside of the box, and somebody who's ready to buckle up and sit outside of their job description just because that's where the magic happens. There's questions I might ask are things like, if you can tell me safely, can you tell me what are the last 3 things you Googled? Or what's the book you're reading at the moment? Or what do you do on your downtime? Because I'm looking for someone who is able to answer those things with a fluency that tells me a little bit about their mindset. There's something very liberating. I'm obviously biased, but there's something very liberating about working in the arts. There are many young people I meet who I think to myself, ooh, you need to work in the arts so that you can be yourself. You won't have to mold to something or someone else. Yes, you'll have rules, but you're also going to be surrounded by free thinkers. Of course, there'll be some that are sitting in more structured roles, but essentially sometimes I meet young people and I think you definitely need to work in the arts because that's where you're going to fly. I think I'm going to tell you a bit of a thing now around what I believe in terms of shiny eyes. I believe that each one of us owes it to ourselves to be looking for a job or a vocation or a calling that gives us shiny eyes. So a lot of my work is in about persuading or inspiring funding or partnerships or donations. And I always say that if I'm sitting opposite someone and I believe in my cause and my purpose, then my eyes are literally shining with it. And I don't have to do a hard sell. The person sitting opposite me will be like, I want to be a part of that because that is compelling, that is engaging, that is not a transactional sales piece. That is somebody doing something exciting that they believe in, and I want to be a part of that. And that is how we inspire donations, partnerships, collaborations. If your eyes are not shiny for what you're doing, then I believe you're working. You're not being driven by your own passion, and it feels like a sacrifice. It can feel like a sacrifice. If you're in a job where you're loving what you're doing, it's literally shining from you. There can be hard days and you might have a bit of dullness, but if your eyes are dull day in, day out, then you owe it to yourself to go and find something that makes your eyes shiny. I think I obviously have found that in the arts. I believe that if it's not in the arts or it's not in that organization, you owe it to yourself to go and find it. And sometimes when you're sitting opposite someone and you're interviewing them, you can tell whether the chemistry is going to be right with your organization, whether they're going to find their shiny eyes with you. And that's what I'm looking for.
And then when you find them, the beautiful dance happens as well. So that's
magic, isn't it?
It's
a natural chemistry.
I am completely with you on that because I think they say often you hire for values and not so much for the skills. So yes. I really like what you said about the piece around mindset. And I think especially these days, even at the universities, when we talk about innovating education, we often talk about how we can educate and develop transversal skills, entrepreneurial mindset, creative thinking. So on that, maybe I'm wondering if you want to give a little bit of an advice to universities, to colleges on how can they better prepare students for careers in cultural organizations, especially with this piece around mindset.
It's quite interesting because universities and schools, I think they have challenges in how they prepare anyone for a workplace these days. If I look back at the crossroads that I've faced over time, or many of my colleagues have faced, I think it's really about questioning, do I take a predictable path or do I follow my instincts and my passion and just go for it? I think there's a challenge in sometimes we fight within ourselves in I don't have a plan. And that's quite hard for some universities to face, where you have to think about your assignments, think about your pathways, your degrees, you're finishing your credits and all of those things. Yes, that's important when you're in university, but I think you also have to empower the individual to follow their instincts and chase their shiny eyes. I want to answer that a little bit differently. Maybe it's not actually about university and schools. Maybe it's actually about you making sure that you are being true to yourself and you are following your passions and your shiny eyes and finding the ways that feel right to you. If you're going somewhere and it's feeling like hard work, you know what? Maybe you do have to push through and get that credit and do that piece. But if it's really hard work, I would actually question whether that's a pathway to shiny eyes or whether you should be looking at other options. So I think there's a little bit of universities helping you to find your higher awareness, but also there's a responsibility that you have to go, oh, well, maybe this is not for me and maybe I should pivot and go this way. That's a bit of a controversial answer, I know, but I think there's a personal responsibility we have to take there as well.
I really like what you said, because I think universities can just be, a very good home base for those students and supporting them in on their pathway to shiny eyes, as you just said. So I think there is a role for them. So I think it's, again, very beautifully said. Everyone can play a little role in that equation.
Role, yes.
Talking about the future thinking, forward looking. So maybe we can talk a little bit about the future of collaboration, about the evolving landscape. So how do you see university arts, university creative industries on a larger scale collaborations evolving in the next 5 to 10 years?
Look, I think that one of the things we probably aren't very good about as a society is acknowledging some of the larger challenges. I am biased towards young people. I always think that I think I might have said this already, if the future's not bright for them, then it's not bright for any of us. I wonder whether some of us could get together and collaborate more, universities, arts, business, and think about how to improve some of those societal challenges. I know that sounds very cliche, but if we put our brains together, if we put our creativity together with business savvy and all those experts that are around us, imagine what we could achieve with some of those scenarios. If, for example, we think that there's a challenge for young people, that there's more young people at risk than there ever has been, which is the case. And, young people, if they have a brighter future, whether that's a career in the arts or whether there's a pathway through university, how can we help them to find a safe place where they can consider those opportunities? And what can we do together that can perhaps talk to them at school or talk to them in an after-school program or in a club and think about making better decisions? How can they make better decisions? And how can we, as an arts organization, as a university or with business, help them, guide them? So I would like to think that collaborations of any nature in the next 5 to 10 years, that the underlying question might be, how can we make a difference together? Together we're stronger. How can we make a difference? What is the pertinent question or the challenge or the opportunity that's out there right now that together we can, even if we just change it by one minute degree, we can make a difference?
It takes time indeed. Wonderful advice. I would like to maybe finish off with one particular question that I thought would be good to end the conversation with. For arts organizations that haven't yet partnered with universities or, academic institutions more generally, where should they start? Because we heard a lot today of how important and great it is to form those partnerships, but where should they begin?
That's really easy. Have a chat, have a conversation.
There you go.
There are so many opportunities that you're not going to be stuck for ideas when you have the conversation. So arts organizations, there are lots of ideas, lots of opportunities. And in universities, you multiply that because there's all these disciplines within universities, within the various faculties. If you went to a function with one university, you would find 10 different experts in the space of an hour. If you were working the room, have the conversation. Don't have to have a meeting. You could have a conversation there. If it doesn't feel right, move on to the next one, have another conversation. I can guarantee that in the space of an hour, if you spent time there, you would find a natural chemistry that was worth looking at. And even if that conversation doesn't go anywhere, you've made a connection and that will spin off. I'm not necessarily saying LinkedIn or any of those things, but it'll spin off to something else. I always say throw a lot of irons on the fire, have a lot of chats. You never know what's going to ignite.
So true. It's people's game in the end, right? So we're all human beings. We just need to talk to each other.
We just need to have a chat.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Dilshani. Really enjoyed the conversation. And we look forward to staying in touch and hope you have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to today's discussion. Follow UIIN on LinkedIn. And if you're enjoying our podcast, make sure to subscribe, rate, and review in your podcast platform of choice to help other people find this content too.